What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Our Smooth Club, the show where everyday men discuss everyday topics. I'm Arrington, Gavin, and alongside with me are a few of my good friends, some three fine distinguished men, Mr. Andrae Marable, Jonathon Jones, and the Dapper Luke. So, what's going on, fellas?
How you doing, man?
Everybody's doing good today?
Yeah, real good.
Okay, awesome. Well, look, I want to start this off. I want to tell y'all a story, right?
Okay.
So, a long time ago, I was going to a restaurant picking up some food. Now, I just left class. I was in college at the time, so I just left class. And while I'm sitting there waiting, mind my business, and a white male about late 60s, early 70s comes up to me and says, "You look like you can run the ball like Emmitt Smith," and just walks on by. So, like, I'm thinking in my head, like, random. Like, that was so freaking random. Like, what, it was saying I looked like I was in shape. Like, I feel like if you're talking to a white male and a white male is talking to an African American, the term running shouldn't really be. How's that going to be fun? How's that going to be white worded? Like, no. So I was already like, okay, that was kind of, offensive. But I'm a jokester. I have a sense of humor. I just rubbed it right off. Another occasion happened. I'm heading to my mom's office, and a person that works with her said, "Man, I didn't know you drive a BMW." I mean, I didn't go up and say, "Hey, I'm Arrington Gavin. I drive a BMW." "Hey, I'm Arrington Gavin. I drive a BMW." So in my head, I'm like, what should I drive? So I want y'all to start catching on what I'm kind of tying into. Another story my mom told me, right? She said, when you were born with long fingers. And a lot of the white female nurses were saying that you got yourself a ball player in your hand. Oh, he's going to play sports. My mom's like, no, he's going to be a classic pianist. So, what I'm trying to say is, guys, have you ever witnessed or ever gone through any form of racial discrimination? I mean, we live in a society right now it doesn't have to be an aggressive way. It could be like a what do you call it? Like a nice hate,
nasty,
nasty kind of thing.
That everybody
so
talks
it's like
about right now.
For someone that doesn't catch on to it really good, it's like, oh, they think it's a compliment, but really it's a form of, it's an insult. So my question for you guys, feel free, whoever wants to start. Have y'all ever been through any form of racial discrimination? Who wants to start first?
I mean, for me, basically, yes. Like you said, a lot of times you run into these situations where I think they want to compliment you, but it's also in a way that it's kind of degrading, as if it's almost a shock that you are specifically the way you are. For me, the one I hear all the time is, "You speak very well," and I'm always like, well, how should I speak? You know what I'm saying? It's almost to say, like, most people that look like me, well, I wouldn't expect you to speak well, But the thing is, it's the way I've always spoke. And I kind of hate it when people kind of put the stigma on it, like, if you speak well, you're speaking white. Like, that's not necessarily true. You know what I'm
How
saying?
many times have I heard that?
So basically, you just want to put it out there that, we can still speak well, we can be articulate, and it's not a shock. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, I've had a lot of, "Oh, you must play basketball. You must play football." Like, no, I play ice hockey, actually.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So, I'm shocked at that.
Yeah. Like, how'd you find out? I'm like, Mighty Ducks. So, that was the stuff I was into when I was younger. So that, and then playing hockey, it was probably, I think, two, like, distinct times where somebody said something racist. It was, they're
blatant?
Yeah. I mean, we ended up winning and I was scoring. So, I mean, I just brushed it off.
But to me, sports is a very mental game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you are physically better than the individual and you are, a lot of times they'll try to get into your head and get you off your game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you've seen that a lot, even when I watch like a lot of NBA documentaries. They talk about
absolutely.
how they were in the person's head, and that's what they were trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
The first time I was probably 12, and we were like in front of the net the whole game, and he was just saying all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, we were losing.
Did you know him, or he just another kid?
No, it was another team. It was at a tournament. And so he just kept saying stuff, and we were losing. I was like, man, saying this stuff to me, and we're losing. Like, and then we started coming back, and then it was like the last second we scored, and he was there, and I was just laughing in his face. And so that's all I could do. Like, being that young and like hearing stuff like that, like, it might happen, but to actually for it to happen,
witness it.
It's just something different.
Well, and the thing is, it's like like you said, when it comes to sports, there's still gonna be technically, sports that we're always gonna be the swimming. You said hockey. Yeah. You got soccer, baseball.
Lacrosse.
Well, not lacrosse. Not baseball. Yeah, lacrosse. Golf. So I mean, it's like, okay, from the beginning, I'm like saying, oh, that's not a white sport. It's a sport. All sports are the same. It's a sport. It's a form of competitiveness. So why are you just putting me in a category of basketball, football, which the joke's on you. I suck at basketball. I have no jump shot. I'm freaking 5'8". There was no aspirations for basketball for me. I love watching it and I love the sport, but yeah, basketball was not in my field at all. So, I mean, what about you, Dre? Have you ever witnessed?
Yeah, at work all the time. If I'm in a meeting with a group of people, they will always turn to my white counterparts instead of me to ask questions when I'm actually like the lead of an entire project. So that always gets under my skin.
And that's the worst part, when you witness it in the workforce. You try to definitely not say anything because, hey, I don't want to affect my job. I mean, you can branch it off from African Americans to even just females on the workforce, but we get through a lot. Like, I mean, hey, I got a lot of tattoos on my body, so the first thing they say was, "Oh, those are really nice tattoos there," but they're hesitant because to them they might say, he was in a gang or something, or what prison you got them tattoos from? You know what I mean? Like,
this is my business.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I have. How many do you have? And then it's like after that conversation, I'm like, what's the point of asking? And or asking, where are you from? If I'm from this area, they're like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's nice. Whenever they kind of get that stutterness, that that's nice. That's nice. I call it. I'm like, all right.
But it's funny what you just said, Dre. In the military, that was one of the things that I noticed. Like when I was in Afghanistan, when we were out there in Afghanistan, we dealt with teams, right? And you had your team leads. Now, me personally, I was a Navy guy with kind of infiltrated with a bunch of Marines, and I sometimes noticed they were kind of hesitant to kind of acknowledge me as lead. And these are Afghanistan people. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even just within our own country. It's even outside of our country. Right. Where it's kind of like they don't really think they will be in positions of leadership or will be the ones that are kind of calling the shots. But you've got to be kind of recognize it and even push past it. You know what I'm saying? And then kind of like what you said with the whole thing about when we win. You know what I'm saying? So you let them think what they're going to think. And then when it's all wrapped up, you're like, okay, and by the way, I'm in charge. You know what I'm saying? You kind of give them a little jab. You know
well, it's the same about the whole car thing. I didn't know you drive a BMW. I was like, I'm blessed to say I was fortunate. My first car was a BMW. My first car that I purchased was a BMW. My parents blessed me with a gift of a BMW as my first car, and then I bought myself a BMW. That's the only cars I've ever driven. I never knew.
Mine was a Mitsubishi Galant.
Okay, nice.
Mine was a Mitsubishi Galant. Mitsubishi Galant.
But I mean, it's like I never put labels on a car. Like I never say, okay, that's a black car, that's a white car. That I never think like that. So it just always gets me that we're still living through a racial discrimination time, whether you think of, MLK, you think of, all the greats that tried to fight to make a difference for us, and we're still living through it today. You think about George Floyd, right? It's over like 100 people, Breonna Taylor, everything is something related to their skin color and their race. And guys, do you ever think, first of all, do you think it's ever going to change? Do you think we're doing better? Do you think it's getting worse?
Well, I'll just simply say that, better or worse, I guess, is subjective, right? It depends on where you are, your situation. Race is going to be an issue, in my opinion, throughout time.
Forever.
The only way you're not going to have a race issue is if there's only one race. There's never going to be one race.
Exactly.
And then if you get into a situation where there's one race, you're going to have classism, where people are being discriminated because of their class.
Yeah.
You're rich, you're poor. So unfortunately, it's one of those human nature things that you're gonna have.
Society, basically.
You know what I'm saying? Like you always kind of put yourself, like whether you be better than someone or you always judge yourself based on people around you, what you have, what you don't have. Even within our own kind of society, everyone just kind of feels as though this is where I am, and how do I compare to everybody else? We even do it in the black community. You know what I'm saying? With light skin, dark skin. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate that's kind of things that we do. So, it's one of those things.
Yeah, we argue all the time, light skin is much better than dark.
I'm joking. All right. I'll be sure over here.
That's great.
I'll be sure over here.
All right, man. All right. Well, I know, Dab, you wanted to discuss some stuff too as well.
Yeah, I mean, so the one thing that I'm really glad about this whole panel is that we are all individuals in our own right, and we're all business owners, right?
Yep.
So for me, I'm gonna, just kind of disclose my age early on. I'm 40 years old, right? Arrington.
40, man.
But hey,
nothing wrong.
One thing I will say, right? Everybody says that 40 is the new 30. No, 40 is the same old 40. I'm like, I don't want to be 30 again. I made a lot of mistakes in 30. But what I will say is that with my current business, like, I wish I could sometimes go back and talk to the 25-year-old me and say, hey, These are some of the things you should have done. Now, I think, gone on a natural trajectory, and I've done very well. Because one thing that I've been working on is like building my brand, right? Just kind of focusing on building my brand. But I think what I would have told myself back then is find that mentor. Find it early. Because I don't care how smart you think you are or, what connections you have. A mentor to me is someone that is like in that field, they've done it, and they can just give you that good advice. You know what I'm saying? And then I know me personally, I call my mentor all the time. Anytime I'm gonna make a decision. Sometimes I agree with what he says, sometimes I don't. But it's that sounding board. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's experienced it. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times he'd be like, bro, don't do that. And I'm like, you're right. Because I know for me, I have an 18-year-old, right? And I'm telling him all the time, do not do this, do not do that. What does he do? He goes and does it. He has to experience it, right? But I'm trying to be that kind of person that takes the advice. Sometimes I'll take it, sometimes I won't. But you just want to have that sounding board in business because a lot of times you make mistakes, and you're gonna make mistakes. But if you can, minimize those mistakes, boom, that's the win-win right there.
Well, and I remember a while back that we were having this conversation of, you mentioned like the age. How old you were when you started your clothing brand, right? Correct. You started at what?
I started modeling at 35.
35, okay.
And I started my brand probably when I was like 38.
38, okay. So what you just proved is no matter how old you are, it's never too late to start.
Correct.
But I would say that you have to, really work on your business plan at an earlier age. If that makes sense. Like I don't want to be 40 and I'm just now thinking of a new idea. Like I'm assuming you already had that, vision in your mind way before you knew what day you were going to start it. So I think you should definitely start it much early at an earlier age. But like that said, hey, I started when I was 38, perfectly fine. I could be 50 and start a new business. But as long as I worked on my plan when I was like 30 something or 40 something, so I gave it time because I evaluated my risk. A lot of people like to rush into businesses right now, and you got to evaluate your risk. What I mean by evaluating your risk is like, how is it gonna what's gonna be the cost of it? Because everything comes with money when you gotta start a business. So I don't want you to just hurry up and quit your job and then, hey, I'm gonna start this business. Right? Okay, well, where's the money gonna be coming in when you gotta pour into your business? Evaluate your risk. Don't skip a wave. Just kind of let it go flow. Flow really, really good. For me, I would tell my 21-year-old self that.
How long ago was that?
I'm 25 now. It was a few years ago. I'm just saying.
You would tell 15-year-old you.
But seriously, like I was pretty much already knew where I wanted to go. I worked on my business plan when I was a sophomore in college. But what I did was what could have benefited me now is be more social media savvy. I'm not that social media savvy. I wasn't big on Facebook. Wasn't big on Instagram either. So I wish I was a lot more educated when it comes to social media. But before then, I did my business plan, all that good stuff. I wasn't as big on networking, meeting with other people. So that's a big thing that helps out with businesses. I think that would be like what I would tell my 21-year-old self. Yeah. I mean, what about you guys?
Yeah, I would say patience. I'm big, strong, want to get things done now. And running a business takes patience.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that. So that's my biggest nature. Wait it out, take time, like you said, plan it out.
Yeah,
and it'll fall into place eventually.
Because I think we focus on, we look at the goal already. We look at, we about to make millions. So they rush it through, and they don't be like, wait, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do this. They skip so many freaking steps, and it's like you fail. You start struggling when it comes to the business, and it's just.
And another thing, with business, you have to really enjoy the business of doing your business. Yeah. Because in a pandemic, which we just experienced, which no one could have predicted, you know what I'm saying? No one could have predicted. So like, if I didn't genuinely love what I was doing, I would have stopped because I was not making money. You know what I'm saying? So I think another thing when you're going into business and you're starting business, find something that you have a passion about. Because with any business, you're not going to just walk into it making millions. You're not going to walk into it, you're going to go on the negative. Like you said, if you're a business that has inventory, you got to get all that inventory. You got to get a building. You got to get this structure. You got to get on social media. You got to find followers. So like I said, if you don't genuinely have a passion for it, it's going to be work when you ain't getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, JJ, what you got?
I mean, I think telling my 15-year-old self, be a bigger sponge. Just
yes.
Because when I was younger, like I'm very like observant as a person, but like just because it doesn't exactly apply to you doesn't mean that you should take it into consideration and save it for later.
Gotcha.
And so I think like watching other people's mistakes, watching other people's successes to a close range, like will really help you in the long run with just about anything.
Absolutely, because I think about when I was starting with my business, before I even thought of it, I'm like, let me do my own research and like check out my competition. What can I do to improve? What can I do to be unique and different? Because I don't want to technically have the exact same thing they're doing, but I do want to show my side of uniqueness. Whether say if they have like
your niche.
Exactly. If they're selling like 4 items on their line, okay, let me boost it up and have a little more. Or let me like show something that is unheard of. So that's what I agree with you're saying. You know, definitely like look at and research everything that you do, and you know all that good stuff. Definitely be a sponge. I like that term, like be a sponge.
I mean, I think that's really good for a couple different reasons. So with business, it's almost like when sports, right? The one thing that you can't coach is experience.
That's right.
Right. So either like you've been through the playoffs or you haven't. You've been to a championship or you haven't. But, I'm pretty sure Kobe, what we found out later was he was having, daily conversations with Michael Jordan, getting that experience, just kind of sucking it in so that when he is in the moment, although he was not there, he kind of knew some things to look for or some things to kind of just be aware of. And I think that's, kind of tying back into the sponge and the mentorship, right? Mentors, no one can kind of give you the blueprint. But they can just give you certain things to either be mindful of or watch out for.
Just basically be careful.
And just kind of guide you. And that's why I think, like you said, it's just real important. Be observant. Speak to people that have done it. For me, the one thing I tell my kids, and they very rarely ever do it, right? I'm like, when you go into a class, right? Find the smartest kid in the class and go sit by that kid. They're like, I'm not sitting by that kid. And I'm just like, all right, okay. Cool, but that's the things you got to think. You know what I'm saying? So,
and my mom always told me, she said, the key thing is listen. As long as you listen, that's all you got to do. Because I tend to I'll either talk over it, I'll listen about 10%, and I'll just ramble on.
You're listening to respond,
exactly.
not listening to absorb. You're just listening to respond,
and that's all you got to do is just listen. So, I mean, it's definitely important things, but I like that, guys. I like that, Dad. Thank you. So,
Andrae, what you got?
So to change it up a little bit, talk about something a little lighter. You know how everyone has their top 5 list, like top 5 NBA players.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Top 5 football players. So let's talk about the top 5 rappers.
Okay.
Ooh.
Hold on. So
here we go.
I think we're gonna have a wide range of 5 based off of this whole thing, right?
How much time we got?
So I'll kick it off, right? So I'm gonna tell you now. I came of age in the golden age of rap, 1990s. Okay.
Drink on that
so
one,
my top 5: Biggie, Tupac, Redman, Method Man, and Nas. Right. Those are my top 5. And I'm gonna tell you why. For me, like I said, to me, the 80s was establishing rap, right? And then the 90s was it was laying down a foundation. And of course, we never truly will know the impact that Tupac and Biggie would have had. They could have both put out a next album and would have flopped. So it's always a what if scenario with those two. But for me, the guys that really kind of took it, Method Man, Redman, Nas, to me, they took that 90s and moved it into 2000s. And they kind of had those ties to those rappers. And you kind of take, I guess, an anticipation of what it could have been. The other two are stuck around. So that's kind of my top 5. And maybe Jay-Z is right there on the outside at 6. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not start listening to Jay-Z until Biggie passed away. Okay. Right. For me, it was he was another New York rapper. All right. But he wasn't to me, Biggie was a national, Tupac, national. And then I always just loved Redman and Method Man. To me, they was always so smooth. And then Nas, he was that intellectual rapper, but he was still smooth. You know what I'm saying? So that was my top 5.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck at 3.
He gonna give us one of them singing rappers.
Oh my God!
Hey, what you got?
Drake. Hey, but I'm explaining. I'm right now. I'm stuck at 3.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
I'm gonna say Drake, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay,
he's pretty good.
Childish Gambino.
Childish Gambino.
Another singer. But I'm gonna just explain those three for first. Kendrick Lamar is he brings in that soul jazz. I'm kind of like what the neo soul kind of Common. You know, those guys. I love that.
Okay.
I love their lyrics mean something. Kendrick speaks a lot on social justice, and he's not like the typical I got hoes in different area codes kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like he's not always
great song, by the way. Because
okay. It's catchy. I work at it every day. But you know, he changes the narrative. Plus, Kendrick was like one of the first that won a Pulitzer Prize winner for like a non-classical, non-jazz album. So I mean, that says something right there. I just love his style. I would say Drake and Childish Gambino because. Again, when I first knew who Drake was, as a kid, I was watching Degrassi. Okay, the teen drama, right? So I'm like, Wheelchair Jimmy's a rapper. Get out of here. I'm not taking him serious, but I'm like, okay, it's hot. So he turned around and, I mean, people don't even know about the actor career, but I mean, him as a performer and as a artist is dope. You look at Childish Gambino, same way. This man can do stand up, almost like another Jamie Foxx. Yeah, stand up, sings. Acts, produces TV shows that win Golden Globe Award, raps, and I mean, this is America. I mean, that's one of like the epitomal songs ever. Common again, Common again. He has his flow that he never leaves. I love that style. I like Jay-Z as well too. I love Jay-Z more as a businessman, but I love Jay-Z. Travis Scott, hell of a performer. Travis Scott, I went to see him at the Something in Waterfest, and that man he was late coming on stage. But
he does that a lot.
Yeah, he made it up.
Seen
He was
5 times, 6 times.
He was killing it. Oh man, I'm kind of stuck, man.
It's funny you said something.
I love
about
Nas too. I love Nas.
Yeah, it's something you said something in regards to them having a lot of different things they do. Now, just to kind of transition out of rap for a second, when you went back into the 40s and 50s, that's how performers were. They were performers. So they were singers. They were actors. They did commercials. Like, that was how it was. Then we kind of fast forward to, like I said, the 80s, the golden age of rap. And it was like, rap was brand new. So they were just trying to establish themselves, right? Yep. And then when you came into the 2000s, that's when you kind of were like, all right, now with Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx was a comedian. He's a singer. He's an actor. He's done his own stunts. Like, Jamie Foxx has kind of like epitomized that era. He's a strict entertainer. He's an entertainer. That's all. You know what I'm saying? So I just think, like I was saying, the 90s to me was so epic and iconic because that's where rap really got its roots for me. Not really its roots, but that's where it really began to grow and became all right, this is going to be around for a while. Like, in the 80s, it was like, we were establishing ourselves. The 90s was like, all right, yeah, rap gonna be around for a while. And then in the 2000s, that's when you had, all right, now it's quote unquote commercial. Now we really want it to be around. And then, okay, let's put him in a movie. Let's put him on this. Let's put him on that. So it's just how the progression of the, rap has gone. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But I mean, it's just what it is. But I mean, JJ, who you got?
Oh man, y'all gonna bag me for this one.
I ain't gonna bag you, man.
This is more personal, like off mood. Like, obviously Kendrick, Cole, like the lyricist guys, of course,
straight
but
music.
Personally, I'm a Travis Scott biggest fan. As performance, I've been in 5-6 shows. Just the performances. Like Astroworld, his last album, I listened to it all the way through. The melodies to it, how he puts his songs together and lets it flow, the whole album in general, not just I made song, like he flows. Like,
he had his whole hands in that whole entire, the way he wanted the stage to be decorated. He writes all the songs.
That's the thing is like, it's been a long time since somebody have a stage presence like that, where they have a roller coaster that goes through the middle of the crowd, and then so
you remember that in the 90s? I don't know.
We didn't have the same budget. We didn't have that kind of budget back then.
So what? That's my number 1. 2 is Lil Uzi. Lil Uzi Vert. Goodness. I don't know. Right, it's just the mood. The mood to get the lyrics.
Are you a big fan like a trap music? Because for me, I was talking to a buddy of mine not too long ago, and I was like, look, I'm not crazy about the whole like trap. Like, if trap doesn't exist or it just goes out, I'm not gonna like miss it.
I mean, there's a time and place. Like, I don't sit there and I don't play that stuff 24/7. I can't. Like, I can't. It's just different moods. There's different music that I listen to. So
gotcha.
I know that my list definitely is not top 5 all time, and that's fine. But
yeah.
Off my mood.
But it's your top 5.
And so I mean, Drake's up there, obviously. Like, this man, he doesn't miss. He doesn't miss.
He really doesn't. He really does.
Like that's never mind. I'm not gonna say it.
Oh my gosh.
But like Kendrick,
we got time.
But like Kendrick, he would be up there higher for me, but he doesn't put out consistently.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a big thing that I think is like, if he was my all-time favorite artist, like I would be kind of mad that he's not putting out music consistently. It's like once every year and a half.
Yeah.
And so like
that can also help him though too, because like with Jay-Z, I feel like put a new album out every 2-3 years.
No, he put out one every summer. He put out one every summer.
Okay.
In the 90s going into the 2000s, he was putting out a record every summer.
Right.
That's what he said. Like, I control like 6 summers, 8 summers, something like that. But
and like
putting it out.
Now in this day and age, like Kendrick and stuff, like they don't even been on social media or nothing. Like this guy could have been dead and nobody knows about it. So like, I think just having, like, let your fans know that you're still there. Like, throw out, like, a giveaway that you made in the recording studio one random night or something. Just keep them wanting more.
That's the uniqueness that I love right there. Like, I mean, those guys, they're not all in the camera.
But Dre, let's go. I know you're my generation. What you got?
Kind of the same list as you. Also, I like Eminem.
Okay, good one. Yes, real good.
And my dad is a fan of this. He kind of embedded it in me. LL Cool J. He
loves
LL Cool J. So yeah, that's probably the other two I would add to my list.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite right now.
Gotcha.
Okay. So LL Cool J. You said who else? You said
Eminem.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, the one thing about rap, it's something that has kind of just lasted the test of time. So now we can have those top 5 because it's been around for so long. You know what I'm saying? So I see it been around for a lot longer.
Well, I would say, well, guys, we are running out of time right now, but I mean, did you want to finish it off?
I mean, I think we had a great conversation. A lot of different topics, a wide range. You get a little bit of everything: entertainment, business, and socials, and justice, and all that stuff going on. It's good to talk about that stuff because, like, a lot of people don't. But I feel like if you're in a comfortable setting like this, it makes it a lot more easier.
Yeah.
Way more easier.
And then I think the fact that we have kind of a range of ages here, right? Professionals, it brings a different perspective. And then ultimately what you want to do is you want to have conversations, right? If we don't talk about it, whether it be fun, uncomfortable, if we don't have those conversations, the next generation is not going to have that legacy.
Plus we got bourbon too, so
it helps. Makes it a little easier.
It does.
All right, guys.
Getting a little short, so.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, fellas. Cheers. Till next time.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you check out Rugged Evo TV on YouTube and subscribe. Leave us a comment, and we'll see you soon.